number one, be cost effective, and the concern about several members right now is the cost of renovation. And has the delegation considered getting a second opinion for costs?
At the moment, we haven't decided the second
Right.
opinion of cost, but that's.
Yeah, we look at that. So if it's, the vote is yes, we'd like to move here, but the other part of it, the fiscal part of us also says it needs to be a cost-effective process.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, Representative Umberger.
I guess that the question is that are we providing a Cadillac when a Chevy would do for UNH?
Or would building a simple building
Yeah.
be more cost-effective?
I mean, is it, and I think that is probably, one of the hesitations, at least that, that I have on the fact that they want to move. Because I don't know, what, when they initially said how much space they needed and, what they wanted, was that a wish list or was that reality? Or is that what they can live with? And those are the, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, what they presented to us however many meetings ago was supposedly based on what UNH had identified as their needs. But I don't know if that was
Can I answer?
Cadillac needs or Chevy needs.
Our needs are 3,000 square feet. Unfortunately, the way the space works out in the old nursing home, it comes out at 4,500 feet because of the hallways and the layout of the present building in that front glass domed room, which is a lot of square footage. Our goal is 3,000 feet that provides us office space, conference room, some kitchen facilities so that we could work with people, and storage. Number one, storage, and we need to place our computers in there as well for functioning. But the 3,000 feet would more than cover that. The 4,500 is a lot of extra space that we do not need.
Okay. Does anybody have any comments on extension? I, for one, would like to have extension on campus. The cost of $425,000 is a lot, I feel, is a lot of money. However, I don't do quotes. I don't know what it is that entails, and we have not done a second opinion on what we could do for cheaper, correct? Commissioner Sorensen.
Madam Chairman, regarding that space for co-op extension, the items that need to be changed, we need a better electrical system in that section. The floor tiles are asbestos, they need to come up and be replaced. We need a handicap bathroom. The one that's there will not meet the code. And maybe we have to take down one or two petitions. I don't see us spending, would you say, $425,000? Maybe $200,000. I'm not sure about the roof over that section, what that's going to cost. But as far as renovating downstairs, those are the items that I would see that would have to be done.
Representative Fleck.
Just a comment about the re-roof. I raised a question last time about an approach that was somewhat less expensive than the one that was last presented by Bonaparte and Stone. And Randy at that point, I think, said that we could simply replace part of it or overlay part of it or something like that to make sure that there's no leakage. So I think that's an issue that may still be up for grabs, that may be somewhat less expensive. As far as the renovation of the office space, it looks like a lot of it probably wouldn't be that costly. I know that there's the HVAC issue, the wiring, the electrical. It doesn't look like $452,000 worth of cost.
Maybe.
No.
Yeah, right.
Half of that, maybe.
Right, so the list that he gave us last time could be reduced considerably. And I'd also say we don't need to demolish the two wings. He gave us a cost of $230,000 to demolish two wings.
One
wing. Excuse me, per side, that's right.
Per side.
That's something we could save. So, and part of that building still has to be re-roofed, I think, if we're going to have the pellet boiler there, if we're going to have the laundry there, if we are going to have the supply and maintenance function there. Some of that work has to be done anyway. I believe it does.
At one point in time, he said you could fix up some of it for, I think he said $50,000. You're doing patching.
Representative Babson and then
Thank you.
McConkey.
The thing that I don't understand, Commissioner Sorensen, is we just had 103 old people in that, and they certainly used the bathrooms. Why isn't this bathroom, why does it have to be anything special if we've had it for all these years for?
I don't believe once we change the use of it that it's grandfathered.
That's correct.
It's code.
Okay.
It's basic, the doorway, number one, is not the right size, so, and it also has to be available to the public, so there needs to be a transition to a new wall. The fixtures don't meet code. So it's not a full-blown cost, but it needs to be renovated and updated.
Representative McConkey.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I have great respect for Representative Fleck, but I disagree with a couple of the items he mentioned. One was about tearing down the other two wings. We spent a considerable amount of time and money to get us to a point that we had an estimate for what we asked for. Now I'm hearing, I think we can do it for a lot less money. I took time to listen to the conversation with UNH, I believe last time, and I apologize for not using your last name, Maureen, but the conversation that the cooperative extension has been around for 100 and something years, and more than likely be around for another 100 years, and that if we spend 20 years, expense this building out for 20 years, that'll essentially give us another 70 to 80 years at no expense. I don't buy that argument either. If we were to look back to what the cooperative extension paid to provide their service as little as 20 years ago, we would find out that the state was handling more expense than what they are now. And we would see now that the county is paying for more of those. And I'm on the understanding that their budgets are being scrutinized much more, and that 5 years down the road, we might be looking at the county picking up even more expense for this wonderful service. So I have we asked for what a number was, we were given a number. But what I heard resoundingly from the cooperative extension when they spoke was, we were hoping for this move was going to be saving us money down the road, and that we have some concern of where that cost may be now. And how the commissioners and others are responding to that is, well, if you know, we're not going to spend all this money, we'll spend less. We're back to uncertainty again. I believe the vote of the delegation before was that we were not going to expend more than $1 million, and that included the tear down of the other two buildings. If I look at very simply at the proposal that came forward to me, and I'm sure to many of the others, it said that if we were going to do that, it was going to cost somewhere between $1.2 and $1.5 million to do that. So what we've asked for can't be done, and now we're saying, now that we have numbers, we can do it for less. So I'm still at the point that it doesn't make sense without numbers, that we can make that conclusion with the uncertainty of our tenant. We don't know that our tenant's going to be here 20 years. Our tenant doesn't know how much it's going to cost for that space, and our tenant's asking for that space to be less. So we paid good money, or it's in our proposal going forward, all the work that Mr. Remick's company has to put into these estimates. I don't know how we can sit here now without involving our estimator and say, you know, where those numbers could come down to. So in light of that, I'm looking at a proposal that is at least 25% more than what we said it should be. And that is unacceptable. And I would not vote to expend any more money than that.
Representative Fleck.
I just have a question of Mrs. McDonald, if she could clarify your concern about expense, and if you were speaking as a taxpayer, or if you were speaking as your relationship with UNH Extension, that their cost would be less. Could you clarify that, please?
I guess the best way is many of the counties have their cooperative extension on their campuses at no cost. And that's where I guess we thought moving here, that would eliminate that rental fee that's paid out every year. They use space in the complex, usually charge $1 or so, somewhere around that for technical rent. And then UNH Cooperative Extension covers their other costs. But that's where we thought moving to this campus was going to save the county the rent dollars that go out right now. So
Okay, right.
no, and we were asked over the last 5 years to come in with a building plan, came in with a green plan. We worked with the young architects in New Hampshire. That kind of went pushed aside and said, okay, now you guys are going to move into the old nursing home. So now that the old nursing home has come about, and it feels like a little bit to the committee or the council that the costs of renovating the nursing home are being put on that rent. And personally, I think $450,000 or $425,000 is an awful lot of money to renovate that space when it's even more than what we need. We can't do less than that. That space can't be broken out for less than 4,500 feet the way it's laid out. We don't need it all. But I just personally, again, think the cost is awfully high, and was it backed into versus did we really get a cost estimate? And that's my personal concern about getting a second or third estimate, just as we've looked at it from health insurance and other things. I think at this point they only have one set of costs and one set of opinions on the roof. This is a huge move. It's a long-term move. And again, the council says, yes, we should move here and be on the campus. But many calls this past week from council members, it's been after seeing the costs of what it takes, it needs to be a reasonable cost.
Representative McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It just seems to me to be not penny wise to spend anything, $200,000, $100,000, $300,000, $500,000, I don't care what it is, to move the UNH Cooperative Extension down here. To save them, or the county actually, a $2,000 increase in rent per year. You know, if we spend $300,000 or $400,000 to bring them down, how long is it going to take for us to break even with that $2,000 a year that we're going to be saving them in costs for rent? I know we put in $230,000 a year, but Conway is the largest population in the area. You know, why? I also understand the reasoning for wanting to bring them down close to the farm. That's, you know, the cooperative extension. That's their bailiwick, is the farming, the agriculture, etc. Why can't we just set up a smaller annex down here for the cooperative extension, where the instructors are here, where they hold the instruction, maybe a classroom or two, but leave all of the office space and everything else up there, and move just a part of it down here so that they can be close to the farm and use the farm, and et cetera, and save the taxpayer a lot of money. I, for one, I just can't see spending all of this money to bring the entire kit and caboodle, all the office space and everything else down here to what they call on campus. It's to me, it's just, I won't vote for it.
Representative Algan.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. And I'd like to thank the representative for his comments. I think they're, certainly duly noted. And I kind of concur in the fact that, we asked the commissioners to, seek out Bonnet, Page and Stone and come back with a plan not to exceed $1 million.